Hey guys, welcome back to my channel. So today's video is going to be me talking about Apex. I mentioned in a couple videos ago in my life updates that I've been volunteering at a wolf sanctuary and that I would dedicate a whole video to them, so that is this video for sure. Finally, I'm putting this out there. I've been really working on how to best tell the story because I get off on these little tangents about irrelevant things, so I'm going to try to keep this video as organized as possible. So just before I do start the whole story of how I got to know Apex, I want to put out there that this is mainly a video about my experiences, and so from my perspective and everything. So I'm going to be putting Apex's links and info and everything in the description, just so you can get everything very detailed and get to know them yourself. Of course I'm going to be talking about what they do and things like that, but mostly it's just going to be from my perspective, so I just want to put that out there that everything's going to be in the description, so you get to know everything about them from their website and everything. So with that being said, I'm going to start from the very beginning of how I got to know Apex Protection Project. And so my mom and I were going to Lowe's and probably looking for stuff for our backyard. So we noticed this guy coming out of Lowe's with a beautiful gray and white pit bull, and we love pit bulls, so of course we were attracted to the pit bull right away, and she was so adorable because she had a little pink collar. And as we watched him put her in the truck, my mom noticed that the back of the truck had a big logo on the tailgate saying Apex Protection Project, and it had two wolves on it. And she was like, hey, like, look, it looks like he has a sanctuary out here. So I was like, oh yeah, that's really cool. And I will completely dedicate me getting into Apex to my mom, because I wasn't feeling very like social that day, I guess is the best way to put it. And so she had to literally talk for me, and she asked him, you know, so do you work with wolves and wolf dogs? And he was like, yeah, we actually have a rescue out here. And she mentioned how, you know, we were gonna go to Wolf Haven up in Washington, but that didn't work out, so we've been looking for a sanctuary to go to. And I finally was like agreeing with her, you know, speaking up a little bit about how I wanted to be a wolf biologist and have my own sanctuary. And so he gave me his card, and he was saying how they were gonna have a volunteer orientation in about a month, and then I should totally apply. And I was like, yeah, you know, that'd be awesome. So the very same day I sent in an email, and he sent me the application, and I filled it out just all within the same day, because I was like, yes, like this is it, this is what I need. So he told me that he would send me an email, you know, once the day got closer for the orientation. So I was waiting and really excited about it, and the day finally came, and my mom wanted to drive me, of course, because she's just a very supportive parent. And so luckily for us, we left an hour earlier than the time was for the orientation, because we totally got lost. I put the address into Google Maps, and it took us who knows where, not even close to where we were supposed to go, but finally we found the place. And in my head I was thinking more like Wolf Haven, where it's a huge property and that it's a big building and everything, but when we got up there, to my surprise, it was actually a house that had just a bunch of kennels in the backyard. So I was like, oh, this is like a really small place, that's pretty cool. So I went in right on time, luckily, and there were 3 other ladies on the couch wanting to volunteer. So I sat down, and we all introduced ourselves and how we found out about Apex and why we wanted to volunteer. And so after all of that, you know, I got this vibe right away that it was like, this is a really cool place, really casual. And I got to meet some of the other volunteers, and one of our mentors, her name was Caroline Wolf, of all things, which is pretty funny, and she's been a really, really good mentor. And we got trained on like how to meet a wolf and wolf dog, and you know what was going to be expected of us as a volunteer, and the rules and things like that. And then after all of that was done, and we signed our contracts, of course, like you do with most organizations like that, we finally got to meet 3 of the wolf dogs in the backyard. These 3 wolf dogs actually live in the house with a pit bull. Her name is Charlotte as well, and their names are Loki, Thor, and Taboo. So we got to go out there, and you keep your demeanor very soft and very calm, of course, because wolves are actually very naturally shy. They're really not aggressive unless they're threatened and provoked, you know, of course. So you go out there, you sit down, they have like some tree stumps and seating out there, and you let them come to you. And Thor, one of the wolf dogs out there, he is so sweet. He'll come up to you right away and sniff you and lick you in the face. And then his brother Loki is much more shy, and he shows much more wolf tendencies, and he hangs out in the back and he just watches and checks you out. And same with Taboo, who is actually the alpha female of the pack. She's the only female that they have, and she rules the whole pack. It's really cool. And she also watches and just kind of waits and doesn't come up to you right away, because you know her job is obviously to watch over her pack members. So after meeting them, we got to meet Merlin, the oldest wolf of the pack, and you meet him through his fence, and you put your fingers through the fence, you know, and he rubs along it, and you get to scratch him. You just have to be careful of sticking your fingers too far, because he will bend your fingers because he rubs against the fence. And he loves people, and the only reason we didn't go into his kennel is because he likes to grab onto clothes and rip them. And of course, like with any of these wolf dogs, I'll put that out there, that they'll never bite you or hurt you, you know. He just likes to grab clothes. So after meeting him and learning about his story, we learned each story of them, and I'll leave that for you to research on their website. We got to meet the fifth one, and that is Sarge, and he's this big bear, and he's adorable, but he's one of the more sensitive of them. And so, you know, as much as you want to hug him and pat him and all that kind of stuff, don't. Because he's very sensitive, and doing that will scare him, and he'll let you know that you're crossing a boundary by like barking in your face. And of course, meeting him for the first time, you know, that's really like intimidating. So to make sure that you treat him with respect and give him the space, and he'll come over to you, and he's adorable. He leaned against me, and you get to scratch him on their chest. That's the safe spot, because they get to see your hand and know what you're doing. So after meeting him, we met the last two boys, and they have this little brother big brother relationship. And the big brother is Kona, and the little brother is Riggs, and Riggs is constantly pushing Kona's buttons. And when they get into their little squabbles, it sounds terrifying, of course, because they're all loud and everything like that. But they're never going to hurt each other, because they're family and they love each other. And I mean, you know, there would be no point to hurting one of your family members, because then the whole family and the whole pack kind of goes down from there. So, you know, they just squabble, and Kona like puts Riggs in his place, because Riggs always likes to push his buttons. And Riggs definitely, the only thing I have to say to be careful is that he loves giving kisses, but he doesn't know how to give gentle kisses. He's a lot better now, and I started my volunteering in February, so I've been there for a few months now. He's a lot better now about gentle kisses, but before, if you're not careful, he'll come up and like bump you in the face. It's so funny. And Kona will come over, and he loves the butt scratches. So after meeting all the wolves, we all decided to you know, get a day that we would all be able to come for training. And that day is Saturday, and it's still Saturday, and I'm still training. And that's one thing that's really cool to me, is that they really take the time to train you properly. You know, they're not gonna send you in with one of these wolf dogs on your own and be like, yeah, you know, you're fine, you got this. Like, no. Like, some people still, I think, have been there maybe for a couple of years, and they still don't go in with Merlin because they don't have that bond yet. And you have to have that bond and that mutual trust, so that both of you feel safe, you know, whether it's feeding or even just going in for some cuddles. So that's one thing that definitely you have to train for a long time, and a lot of volunteers unfortunately don't make it. They think that they're just gonna go in and lay with the wolves, and you know, that's gonna be that within just like a week or something. I'm not sure what's in people's heads, but I was there and I knew that it was gonna take time, and this is what I've been wanting. So I was like, yes, I'm in here for the long haul. I'm not going to give up. Like, this is what I want to do. I'm going to move up slowly, as slow as it'll take, like years, or if it'll take months, who knows. And so far it's been really good. I've been there for a few months, and I am feeding and cuddling, and I've even been able to handle on events, which is really awesome. But you know, it took a few months to get to that point still, and that's completely fine to me. I don't want to put out there that I'm like, oh, it took forever, you know, obviously. So the next part of this video is talking about the events that they do and what their like purpose is. Besides, you know, obviously they are a wolf and wolf dog rescue. Every day there's wolf dogs being sold, being bought, being abandoned, or placed in pounds where they're put to sleep. And one of the facts that they tell you, that really struck me is that a wolf dog is most of the time is put to sleep before he even reaches the age of 3, which is just heartbreaking. Most wolf dogs in captivity can live up to 20 even at the most, so 3 years, that's hardly even living at all, and it's just so sad. There's just so many that are put down and everything. So Apex really helps, and all the sanctuaries really help with pulling them out of those situations and working with them and creating this life for them that they just get to live. And what's really cool about Apex is part of their programs is heavily influenced on education. And at the events that I get to handle, that I've handled at, are all school presentations, and they're always free because education is absolutely key in changing things. And when we start with little kids, you get that fear out of them of the big bad wolf. You get that out of them right away, and people listen to kids as much as when you're a kid you don't feel like you're listened to, but I feel definitely like little kids are listened to more than sometimes adults are. I think it's really, really important that we start with this, and every event that I've been to, you change people's minds all the time. And the events that we have at the actual ranch, they include like going on a hike with the pack or just meeting them, sometimes having dinner even or whatever, and you really get to just meet them. Like the people, they usually come in groups from 6 to 12 because anything less than 6 would be kind of not as efficient for Apex, and any more than 12 and that's way too much energy for the wolves, and they're not going to respond so well to it. So we try to keep these smallish groups, and usually they're families who come together or anything like that, but also sometimes they're strangers who maybe have one mutual person who organizes it. And anyone who obviously comes to see the wolves, they already have a sense of that they love the wolves and they want to meet some. But even then, sometimes they have some myths in their head that we debunk, or they just have certain thoughts that once they get to meet the actual wolves, they're like, wow, I don't know why I ever thought this way, or they learn something about them for sure. And I've met so many cool people when I volunteered during the events, because they're always needing help during that time. And I met so many cool people and so many different walks of life, and you each find out how they found out about Apex or why they love wolves or different things like that. And one thing that Paula says when we do the presentation in the beginning of a hike, she says, you can watch documentaries as much as you want. You can watch 1,000 documentaries, but that's not going to give you the real sense of connection, to the wolf. And when you go there and you actually meet one and you get to see how they interact with each other, how they interact with humans even, you'd really get to see how precious is maybe the right word, how precious they are, and just how much they really need your help, and so it really inspires people who come over to, put that effort into making a change for the wolves, because even if they're taken off the endangered list, they are still very much endangered. They are kept at ridiculously low populations, just enough so that they don't go extinct, and it's absolutely ridiculous. And I don't know how anyone could really possibly want for these animals to go extinct, and it's just heartbreaking because there's so many out there who are fighting against people like Apex. But with these events that we go to, we're hoping, to just change minds. And like I said before, when you start with the youngest generation, then that generation grows up and they grow up with the mindset of these animals need to be protected. And when they grow up all the way, then they teach their kids that, and it's just this whole ripple effect, and it's something really amazing. So I kind of went off on a little bit there, more about the advocacy rather than Apex itself. But Apex is all about advocacy, so I guess it's kind of in the same thing. So a typical day of training for Apex is basically you learn how to feed the animals, how to make the food in the morning. They eat raw, mixed in with some supplements and all this kind of stuff. And yes, you do touch raw meat. You don't necessarily have to, I suppose. You know, you obviously aren't forced to do anything that you don't want to do. There just won't be that extra step of training that you may get. So I absolutely hate touching meat. Like, I hate it so much. It makes me so sick. But over there, you know, I have the mindset of this is part of it. This is part of the training. This is what they need. It's not me hating touching meat. It's just me making a meal for this animal who, you know, relies on us to make it for them. At least over here, you know, obviously in the wild they don't rely on anyone but themselves and their pack. But while I'm there, I have that mindset of anything that I do here is for the wolves. This is part of my training. This is why I'm here. And it even goes as far as, you know, like scooping poop, you know. I don't think many people think about that when they go into a volunteer thing, that yes, they're gonna have to clean up after the animals. Of course, it's not all just kisses and hugs and cuddles and everything, you know, it's hard work. And some days are harder than others. Maybe there's more to do around the actual ranch, and you know, there's some maintenance and things like that, but everything that you do there is literally for the wolves. And so that's the mindset that I always have when I go into it. My whole human pack there, we all do our part and nobody ever slacks off. And it's not to say that like we never take breaks, we don't have fun. You know, we have lots of fun. Like tons of fun. There's always, like, there's never been a day that I go there that I don't laugh. Like, I always laugh at jokes that people say or just funny things that happen with the wolves. It's honestly like the best thing, and I look forward to it every Saturday. And now that I recently finished my last spring semester, you know, I get to go over there a little bit more during the week, and I wish I could go there honestly every single day. And I really would if it weren't for, you know, life. Life outside the ranch, which just includes, you know, just being here and cleaning my own house and, you know, things like that. But I would really go over there every day if I could. It would be absolutely like the most amazing thing. So I think I've talked quite enough about this, and I'm sure that I got the message out to you guys that Apex has really been amazing for me, and they're an amazing group. And I hope that you'll give them some love. Down in the description is all their social media and their website, and just check things out and you'll get to know each of the pack members through their descriptions on the website. And as embarrassing as this is for me to say, because I know that Steve and Paula will watch this, but I really just want to thank them for making such an amazing family-oriented organization where people really want to go there. And they're getting so much more popular now because recently they got a interview in the Dodo about Sarge, and I'll also leave that in the description below. And just, I want to thank them so much because it's really been an amazing thing, and I'm so happy that I got to know them, and I'm so happy that I'm part of it, and I'm really excited to see where everything goes. So that's all I'm going to say for this video. I hope you enjoyed it. Give it a like if you did, and subscribe for more videos in the future, and follow my social media in the description below as well, and I will see you in the next video. Bye.